Have you ever been love bombed in church or have you ever seen it? I'm sure you have. Now, this episode is for leaders who want discernment. When charisma begins to dazzle and character is not present, you're going to learn how to use emotion as data and begin to set boundaries and choose fruit over gift. Now, this is for pastors and ministry leaders and anyone recovering from church hurt or spiritual burnout, or you just want to begin to navigate your relationships a little bit better. Now, consider how often we as leaders, we select people for key roles because they have charisma and charm. And that is that they have the ability to speak well. They have some sort of gifting or talent that is extraordinary, and we think that is enough. But let me tell you that there is a hidden cost when somebody has charisma, but they don't have character. And we should not be surprised when conflict spreads from these immature people. We become disappointed in them, but often we need to look at the deeper problem, which is inside of us. Now, the Apostle Paul calls us to look for faithful people, not eloquent ones. He says, "The things which you have heard of me among many witnesses, commit the same to faithful men who will be able to teach others also." And then he talks about enduring hardship as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. You see, faithfulness is fruit, and faithfulness is tested. It is track record. Faithfulness stays when applause fades. Now, a mortgage company, they don't approve a loan because somebody gives a persuasive 5-minute speech. It looks at the credit and it looks at the history. It studies track record. Now, let me tell you, we should be at least that wise to look at the people who shape our lives, who we get connected with in marriage, in partnerships, in ministry. We should go in with our eyes open, looking at track record stuff. Now, this matters in dating, in hiring, in choosing mentors, and discerning which voices we allow to speak inside of our lives. And let me tell you, red flags, they are abundantly clear during courtship, during interviews, during early collaborations, but we often override those things and we choose to ignore them. And what happens is that we close the door on discernment because something shiny blinds us. And so we rush towards getting into something that we have no business getting into. And then we wonder how we got into this relationship, this partnership, and this situation with somebody who is so narcissistic, who has no inner intuition or has not gone on a healing journey whatsoever. Right? It's because we have silenced the warning lights on the dashboards of our soul. And we do this honestly because we've heard all kinds of sermons that say, don't trust your heart, don't trust your guts, your intuition sucks. And the result is that we have all of this devastation that we have to deal with because we do not heed the warning signs. Now, let me tell you something. Your emotions should be used as data. Now, we don't let them be the driver, but we don't banish them to the trunk of the car. You see, anxiety, unease, and weariness, these are all warning light indicators. They tell the truth about what is happening outside of you and what is taking place on the inside of you. And let me tell you that they're not defects. They are designed. You are made in the image of God. You are an emotional being because your maker reveals anger, joy, delight, grief, and compassion and zeal in holy ways. Now, the Bible says to keep your heart with all diligence, For out of it is the issue or the well springs of life. Now, keeping the heart requires you to notice the heart. When someone pressures you to override your gut, to move faster than wisdom, that is a warning sign. Pressure is always going to be a warning sign. And let me tell you, it's sending you a message, and that message is not love. It's not shepherding. It's not kindness. It's not gentle. Now, Jesus says, my sheep hear my voice. Now, the voices that try to control there are hirelings, and that is they run when the wolf comes, or that voice sounds like the wolf itself, and it's leading you to be devoured. Now, boundaries are not rebellion. Boundaries are stewardship. Now, after the spear flew across David's face, he did not linger in the palace. What did he do? He got away. He created distance. He placed space between himself and the source of the harm. Now, that distance was not hate. That distance was wisdom. It was love for his calling, love for the people attached to yielding to God. And it was a refusal to become the kind of man that Saul wanted him to become. You see, you and I don't fight wolves by imitating them. We do not fight fire with fire. We keep our hands clean even when someone does us dirty. The Bible says, beloved, do not avenge yourself, but leave room for God's. Now, David refused to take Saul's life even when he had the chance. He would not claim a throne God had promised him using methods that God forbid. Let me tell you, the method matters. And that kind of restraint and integrity saved David from himself, and it shaped the kind of king that he was to become. It taught his men a holy way to be strong. You see, leaders who refuse retaliation open the door for God to fight for them in ways that outlast anything that the flesh could accomplish. And let me tell you, the foundation of David's safety, it wasn't proximity to power. It was proximity to the presence of God. Now, many leaders think access is what keeps them safe. And that is, if I can get close enough to a decision maker, if I can stand near the center of the table, if I can hold the microphone, then I will be shielded. Now, David learned a better shield. He wrote, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall rest in the shadow of the Almighty. And for in the day of trouble, he will keep me secretly in his pavilion. You see, the presence of God wasn't just poetry for David. It was a real refuge. It kept David sane. When flattery was thick and spears were flying, it will keep you sane when praises rise and politics swirl. The Bible says, you will show me the path of life, and in your presence is fullness of joy. You see, fullness of joy, that's not just a mood. It is the settled strength that comes when your identity is anchored inside of God, not in political power or nearness to the throne or anything like that. Now, return again to the fruit, because the wolf will try to make you forget it. The wolf will urge you to focus on words. Look at my vocabulary. Feel my charisma. Notice the crowd that I can gather. But don't look at the weight behind me. Don't ask me how I handle money. Don't study how I treat people when nobody's watching. Don't tally the burned bridges that are behind me. Now, the Spirit leads us the other direction, and that is the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. And let me tell you, this kind of things, they can be seen and they can be tested and they cannot be faked for very long. Now, a leader who carries peace does not stir chaos to stay in charge. A leader who walks in self-control does not live like he has a runaway appetite. It is a visible demonstration. A leader is kind, will not weaponize information to steer by fear. You see, character outlasts charisma. Leaders who prize character choose teams by faithfulness more than flash. They watch how a person treats staff who cannot advance them. They pay attention to how a person handles a no, a delay, a boundary, or a loss. Now, these simple observations save churches, companies, and families from grief that is insurmountable. Now, one tactic you will meet is love bombing. The wolf pours attention on you that feels like the summer rain and at the end of a dry season. You are celebrated. You are told that you are the missing piece. You are invited into the inner rooms for a person who has been underappreciated or simply one who is human. It may feel like you're rising and it may feel like you're finally getting what you deserve. But love bombing is a tool. It is designed to create dependency. And if you begin to rely on that flow of praise as your source, your discernment will begin to fog. The same mouth that showered you with praise yesterday will begin to shame you tomorrow if you do not conform. Now, the short-term remedy is to notice the pattern. The long-term remedy is to anchor your identity in what God has already spoken. The Bible says of Jesus, "You are my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased," before he ever preached a sermon or healed a single disease or gathered a single crowd. Now, if your identity is rooted in your sonship or daughterhood, it is anchored. And that is, flattery does not grab a hold of us, and criticism does not define us. This is our identity guardrail. Now I want you to think about this. Where am I tempted to choose flash over fruit? What boundary do I need to set today? And what practice will anchor me in God's presence so I can begin to make decisions from peace rather than pressure? I'll see you next time. Peace.